Okay, so today we're going to review the Sedona Golf Club in Sedona, Arizona. I was able to get out there on a Monday, and the course was still rather busy. Monday, I believe, yeah. The course was still rather busy that day. We had a wonderful, absolutely wonderful weather day to play in. It was almost a little bit humid, which for Arizona is unusual, but in this particular part of Arizona, which is in Sedona, it actually was not too unusual, but the weather was really just awesome. The light was really nice, so I got some nice pictures, and the scenery is fairly decent. I don't know if you know anything about Sedona, but Sedona is just southwest of Flagstaff, and it is essentially nestled in the Red Rock Mountains along Highway 89 southwest from Flagstaff. You can take that all the way down to the western side of Phoenix, but in this case, it is at the bottom of this very nice scenic highway drive through the gorges and so forth that are just southwest of Flagstaff. And it comes down to this really trendy, kitschy kind of place, part of Arizona, which is definitely not Flagstaff, but it's definitely not Phoenix either. And it's kind of like what, I guess, part of Torrey Pines would be like, I guess, if Torrey Pines had more verticality to it. So it is a course, the Sedona Golf Course is a course that is not far. It's maybe a mile and a half from the Oakwood course that I reviewed a long 3 or 4 years ago on my way out to Santa Barbara when I was working out there. And it was that long, it's been about 4 years now, before I got a chance to get back out to try the other course, the Sedona Golf Course. And if nothing else, if I come out here and I don't play another course in Arizona, I'm going to play this course. I've been trying to play this course for a while. There were some shots that I've seen on the internet of this course that I wanted to see if I could get myself, which I couldn't. Apparently not the same course, but close enough. There are 2 other courses out here. One's a 9-hole course, which is just across 173 from the Sedona Golf Course. And there's a second course, which I think it's called Seven Canyons, which is way up, back up 89, back towards Flagstaff. But it was about a good hour back north from the Sedona Golf Course. I didn't really have the time, didn't want to take the chance to go out there and find it, plus it's a private course anyway. So I just settled for this one course, got on it, and really got lucky. It was a nice round. The scenery is definitely picturesque, and it has decent verticality. It's a slope 132 course, 6,500 yards, which is not as high in slope as the Lake Powell National Golf Course that I was playing in Page, but somehow this course seemed both harder and easier at the same time than the Lake Powell course. And I thought it was a little harder than the Oakwood course that's north of Sedona. And at the same time, I was happy to play it, and at the same time, I was disappointed. I don't think that there's much doubt that playing a neighborhood course with wide open fairways and lots of space, and you can see all the houses from pretty much everywhere in the course, and most of the shots are not really all that challenging. They're more like just stay in the course, hit the ball to the fairway, hit the ball to the green, and putt in, with very few difficult or challenging shots on the course, really. I don't think a course like that is really much fun to play. I think it's more convenient for the people that live in the area, and definitely not a real challenge that I would drive, hours, not to mention days, to go play a course like that. So while the Oakwood course that I played about 4 years ago was like that and was a major disappointment. And in fact, it had a number of other problems, like houses that came sometimes right up to the green on some of the holes. It wasn't, the Sedona golf course was not like that very much. I would say there had a little of that, but not much. Only in certain parts of it were there sections where there were houses that ran alongside the fairway. On a par 3, for example, I can think of one. But for the most part, the houses on this course were sort of kind of tucked away and not really oppressive. They weren't not a factor. It wasn't like you were ever really free of them, but it wasn't like they were obnoxiously close to the course. So that was a plus. What was a downside, a letdown certainly, was that they often weren't that far away from the course either. They certainly were a factor on many of the holes, certainly were a visual factor in many of the holes, and definitely, you know, not something that you could play the course with and not worry about houses on the course. So it was sort of like a crowd at a concert, where on one concert the crowd is, you know, jammed up against the stage. Everyone's, you know, throwing big balloons and crowd surfing and stuff like that. And on the other concert, it's a bunch of people who are not pressed, but still there. It's still, you know, 50,000 people in the stadium or whatever, and it's still standing room only, and people are not dancing and crowd surfing, but they're still standing around there, you know, watching the stage and occasionally holding up lighters and everything. It wasn't a whole lot better than the Oakwood course in terms of that regards. And in fact, I think pretty much everyone in my group hit at least one house. I think I hit a house in the 18th tee box, and reminded me of a course in the Fairfax, Virginia area, just a little bit too much. You elevated tee, there's a row of houses right off the tee, right in front of me, and sure enough, I shagged an attempted draw and hit a tree right next to the fairway, and a tree kicked the ball into the house right next to the tree, and it was just a mess. But I got my next shot in where I wanted it, so I guess in the long run it was okay. And plus, there's only people renting a house there, renting the houses along that tee box anyway. So as you can see, the pictures that I took came out fairly well. The Red Rock Mountains that were in the background came out fairly well, but you could also see there's a lot of houses in the area of this course. I mean, a whole lot of houses. And that was not a plus, but the course was open enough to where it was playable, and it was sort of like almost a neutral, not quite, but almost a neutral. The houses were often fairly well hidden, you know, sometimes decently hidden, sometimes not really hidden, but not too obnoxious. And there were times when there were, you know, you get on the tee box and there were houses right in front of you, right to the left of you, right to the right of you, right behind you. Sometimes, you know, it was just a little bit oppressive in terms of the houses, but still I think the course was definitely a good course to play. I think it was kind of like the best you could make of a situation where you had like a golf course and you wanted to put 10,000 houses around it, or 5,000 houses around it. And given the landscape of that particular course, where it is in the Red Rock Mountains, it's hard to see that not happening, that it isn't just chock full of houses. And we were lucky that most of them were, you know, 1 floor, 2 floor, nothing really obnoxious in terms of, you know, like an apartment complex or a condo complex. But at the same time, there was a point on a tee, on one of the holes where somebody was cleaning their yard, you know, and you know, you could barely see the house for all the pine trees around it, but there's still someone cleaning the yard, and they had like 4 or 5 guys with the leaf blowers cleaning it off. It was like they were just opening the house for the summer or something, and no leaves, just, you know, pine needles and stuff that had accumulated on the property. The property was little more than a driveway, you know, and a car park under the house, and they were out there, and we're in a tee box. The tee box is no more than 20 feet from them, and there's 4 guys there. Then there's a row of houses there, and, you know, there's a par 3, which is really tight along the houses on one side, and there's this big giant drop off on the other side of the fairway. Somehow still got 2 tee shots on the green. Anyway, it just was less than I would want it to be in terms of a golf course. But given the obvious aesthetic value of the property on which the golf course was on, it was $150 for a round to play this course, and it gets up to $200 early in the day. So it drops off from 200 down to about 85 or so down around 3 o'clock. It just was amazing in a sense that they were even able to meld the ideas of playing golf and having what had to be $500,000 plus houses on this property or near this property. So all in all, I would say it's an interesting course. It was a decent round. It played certainly at least as hard as a 132 from the back tees. They didn't have blacks, 6,500 yards from the blues. And at the same point, there was a disappointment there because they didn't have GPS in the carts. You couldn't really see the extent of the course from the tee boxes. You had to get out in the fairway to really see where the course was open and where the course wasn't. There were, just trees pretty much blocking in all the tee boxes from being able to see down the fairways. So there was more course out there than you could see from the tee box, but you couldn't really see it from the tee box because of all the trees and so many of the tee boxes. And so that made the course harder than it really was. If you had known, if I had known the open spots on the fairways and so forth, it wouldn't have been as hard, but it still was hard because we're essentially playing in these narrow, like a blinder, field of view. But overall, a decent course, a decent enough course. Was it worth $150 to play it? No, it wasn't. It was only worth that money if you consider the environment. They had a decently, somewhat upscale clubhouse, really nice clubhouse, great view on the course, decent carts, electric carts, but, again, no GPS in the carts. And that really is a handicap. I think for an upscale course, it's almost mandatory now that you have GPS in the carts. You can't be just throwing people out in the course they've never played before with all this stuff going on, all this waste, all this overhang, all this desert, and not have an accurate GPS system. And if you're supposed to bring your phone out there and get that, then it's like, why are you paying all this money for the course? You're paying that money for the course because it's a nice course in a nice part of Arizona. It's not in Phoenix, not in the desert. It's almost like a normal course on the East Coast, a normal course with houses like Hobbit's Glen, some other courses I can think of in the Fairfax area, which the name escaped me at the moment. What's that P course that's on Route 50, just west of the Fairfax County Mall on 66. If you know the course, it's this really old, crappy course, which has one good part of it. But in this case, the whole part of the course, really rest of the course was nice compared to this really one small part of the course on this other course I'm thinking about in Fairfax County. Notoriously tight course in the first 2 or 3 holes. But this course was and that course tends to charge ridiculous amounts of money also. And it's just not worth it. But this course was, I guess in a sense, I would say about $100, I would say is about what it was worth in my opinion. Just from the fact that it was a really nice looking course in a nice looking neighborhood. But 150, no. That would get you a very nice neighborhood course in California. It would get you Torrey Pines with a cart. That's a lot of money to pay to play golf, and I can't say it was worth it. But it does keep riffraff away from the course, and at the same time, it does ensure that the course is in decent condition, which it was, and I just couldn't really complain about much, but I wasn't happy with the course. So overall, I would give the course a low B. I have to say, it just seemed like a good environment to play golf, and the holes were a decent challenge, but it just was just too much housing. Too much of the course was hidden from view off the tee. Just too much neighborhood background noise going on. If it wasn't somebody cleaning their yard, it was they were playing their music or talking or something. The people there were pretty nice, decent enough people. Certainly, I hit a ball into somebody's yard. The guy actually came to the yard, to the fence with the ball and gave it back to me. And I was like, wow, that would never happen on most courses. Just nice place to be, nice place to play, nice place to eat and everything, but just not enough bias towards golf and too much bias towards housing. 40 houses on just about every hole and 18 holes. And this course was unquestionably biased towards housing and residents. That's Sedona Golf Club, which I would give a B- to as a overall experience. The golf was actually pretty decent, pretty challenging, and I would definitely give it a B as a golf course, but it would be a B+ or an A- if they had half the number of houses in the area. It would have been much better.